My husband and I started trying to get pregnant shortly after we got married. About 3 months in, got pregnant, test on the stick. It was about 5 weeks in, and I had pain. We rushed to the ER. I was diagnosed with an ectopic pregnancy. Because of the situation, the pregnancy burst in my tube. The doctor went in and tried to laparoscopically remove everything, couldn't do it, had to cut me open, unable to save my left tube. So other than that, they said, I was healthy and everything and shouldn't, might have some problems getting pregnant just in terms of not being able to go every month. But, other than that, and 3 months after my ectopic, I got pregnant with our first son, Robbie. So, I was like, oh, okay. Figured they thought it would take us 6 months to a year, and it took us 3 months. So, when Robbie was a year and a half old, we decided it was time to start thinking about the second one. And so we just started trying. And after about 6 months, nothing was happening. I called my doctor, and they said you have to have been trying for a year before they can refer you to fertility treatment. So we had to give it 6 more months. So 6 more months of trying, and nothing came of that. So after our year, we were referred to a fertility clinic. They diagnosed me with unexplained fertility, which I think is just a catch-all for we can't tell you why you're not getting pregnant because everything seems to be in working order except for the whole not having a left tube thing. But so we went to the fertility clinic, did all the testing. They decided to start us off with the IUI treatment. And so we did 3 rounds of that. The first was completely unsuccessful. The second resulted in a chemical pregnancy. And then the third was unsuccessful as well. So by this time, 3 months in, fertility treatments, there's a lot of needle sticking, a lot of medications. I was exhausted. They wanted to start talking about IVF, which was a big step because obviously that requires even more time, even more medications, more interventions, more cost. So at that point, just, this is a year and a half after we had been trying to have our second child, I needed a break. And so we decided that before we tried IVF, we were just going to take a break, see what happened kind of, 3 months, 6 months, maybe try IVF. This was in the spring of 2015. Thought maybe by the fall, if nothing had happened, then we would proceed with IVF. In the meantime, I'm pretty open about what had been happening with us, social media and in person, so a lot of our family and friends knew what we were going through. 2 separate a friend of my husband's and then a cousin of my husband's who don't know each other in real life, both suggested we meet with Dr. Jenny just to see if, she might be able to help us, if she had some ideas of what could be going on. Just as kind of a different thing, something else to try before going through the IVF process. So we did. We went in for the consultation. She took very careful notes, asked more questions than the fertility clinic ever asked us about, our, my health, his health, our lifestyle, things like that. And she thought she could help us. So we decided to do the 6-week treatment. And we started, I think that very next week, I went in for my first therapy session with Dr. Jenny. And I always say that it wasn't just physical therapy, it was emotional therapy. We told a lot of stories, talked a lot, laughed a lot, cried a lot. It's very therapeutic, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally getting out all that, the burden that you carry when you have trouble getting pregnant, because that's supposed to be the easiest thing in the world. Despite the fact that I talk about it a lot of people don't talk about it. They don't talk about miscarriages. They don't talk about struggles. So it was nice to be able to kind of release a lot of that, while also hopefully getting my insides back in working order. So after the 6 weeks were over, I felt really positive, really optimistic about our chances, still holding the IVF card kind of in the back of our minds. And so Dr. Jenny released us and said, go have a baby. And we figured, it'd probably take a couple months, if anything. We still set our deadline in the fall. Figured we'll try 6 months now, and if nothing's come of it, then, the IVF. And I got pregnant the next month. So that was, I think, the most surprising thing of all, was that sometimes I wish we'd known about her services sooner so that I didn't have to go through the IUI stuff and, inject myself with those treatments, and I gained weight and, the emotional side of it. But yeah, right after, it was literally my next cycle after I was done with Dr. Jenny, I got pregnant with our second son, Charlie, and the pregnancy was perfect. Perfect, didn't have anything wrong with us there, and now we have Charlie, and he just turned 1, and, we don't know what would have happened if we hadn't gone to Dr. Jenny, if we'd gone straight to IVF, would we have been successful? Would we have been told after 3 treatments there's nothing more we can do for you, sorry. We don't know, and we're glad we don't know the answer to that question. So that's my story.